G'day, it's Chris. This is Flat Tank Journey. A little update on the BSA. I haven't set the world on fire, but I have done something. You ever watch those YouTube videos and think, I wonder if it's that easy to do? As some of you will know that are long-time viewers, I hate cabling. I really hate it. It never goes well for me. I needed a custom cable for the front brake. Got the front brake working, all's well. But I need a custom cable because it's really short. So I made one and I lead cast the end. And I did watch a YouTube video, and you need to go and find this guy because his explanation was really good. So I'm not trying to steal his thunder, but can you lead cast an end on a cable? Yeah, you can. Watch this. Here's the front brake on the BSA. And the next problem for me is cabling. And I hate cabling. It's my least favourite job. So I'm disassembling the brake mechanism because the way I look at this, this is a captured cable. It must be installed through this piece especially to before you put the top on, before you put the cable ends on. And I'm just grappling with spanners. And I don't think I've got the right size. Oh, yes, I have. So I could be wrong, and I hope I am, but I need to get all this off. And we can sort of see why they stopped doing this because it's pretty labour intensive. Anyway, this big piece screws out. The cable slide will slide right back up through the hole and we can get it out. But everything, not everything can go back through the holes, I don't think. This piece, this threaded piece, has to be installed because there's no split in it because the cable end is bigger than the hole up the middle. And nothing will come out. So a bit of a pain in the bottom and a bit of a faff around to get everything out and to cut a cable to length. So I had a cable and that was okay. And then on this end, I just had a slide-on fitting that would stop on what's the bottom of a carby cable. The other end, well, I need to do something about it. And I need to make an end for it. And that's what I'm going to try and do today. With a little bit more messing around on the bench, I've worked out I can get the cable out of this piece, of course, and then the cable will just slide through the hole on the top. So I've got a bit more room. But it still leaves this piece absolutely captured, that adjuster. So that's a pain in the butt because you don't have a lot of cable to play with at this end. And that's a bit frustrating. I'd like to have a bit more, but I don't appear to have. Anyway, I'm going to try and cast one out of lead. I watched a video on YouTube because that's how you learn things, and saw a guy make a little sleeve with a slit in the side and the same size shaft to slide up the middle. And then he cast it by putting the cable inside, all frayed out, cleaned up, and then he poured molten lead over the top. Then he knocked it out with the shaft from the bottom. Now I'm not going to steal his thunder and, you know, make another video. The stack's on. Just YouTube search how to make a custom cable end and you'll find this guy. And the instructions look really simple. I emphasise they look. But we're about to find out how simple. Down there on the bench, I'll give you a closer look. There's a little fitting. So the hole where the lug for the cable would go through is about 8mm. Could be 5/16, but I've drilled it to 8mm, and because it measures 803 or 804. Then I've cut a slit in there, and the mark you can see is the halfway point of what I'd like the width of the cable end to be. I hope that makes sense. Then one-handed, here's some 8mm shaft that I polished, and it slides through. There's a marker on the shaft where I'll sit that, and that will make full length of what I want the cable connected to be. Then you simply pour molten lead in with the cable fed through the slot. I'm going to try that and see how it goes. Rightio. So I had a bit of scrap lead, but I don't know, it looks like it comes from roof flashing. So that worked well, and I've got a mountain of it. Well, a mountain of it for the job. I then needed some sort of crucible, because I've never melted lead or metal before in my life. Now, I have these little oxygen cylinders. It was well empty when I cut it, I can assure you. And so I had read that they were stainless steel. They are mighty thick. They're probably 3.5mm thick. So this one had been empty for some time, and I had taken the fitting out of the top because I had some aspirations to melt a bit of metal at one stage. So I'd taken the fitting out, and there's cobwebs inside and dirt and dust and all sorts of stuff. I then arbitrarily lopped a chunk off and thought, okay, I can heat lead in that and pour it in. Or at least that's the theory. I'm going to clean up this cable. I'm going to set stuff up in the vise. I'm going to show you how it's set up. Then I'm going to attempt to film it, and hopefully this doesn't end in disaster. To say, I'm just a bit more than nervous. So I've heavily twisted out the end of the cable because I want that to grab into the lead. I also had some flux. I don't actually know that it's necessary, but I decided I would. So I've fluxed the cable to the best of my ability. Just going to wipe it off a little bit, because old mate on YouTube said don't get it, the flux onto the steel. He thought it'd stick. I don't know whether it will. Right. I'm doing this on the fly, so you're seeing it in real time. I haven't tried it before. I'm poking it through the slot. That could really be just ever so slightly bigger. Bear with me, I'll get that in there. Rightio, that went in there eventually. Well, not eventually, didn't take too long. And I've spread out the cables inside, and I'm really hoping that this will work. I'm going to heat it up first. I should have pulled the cable out before I preheat that. Right, let's be really careful. So, don't know whether I've damaged the cable there or not, but you preheat it, I gather, to get any residual moisture out of the fitting so that you don't risk a steam explosion, because I do watch people melt stuff on the internet. I need to melt some lead. I'm a bit scared. We'll see how it goes. Now I only need a little bit of lead, so I'm only going to melt a little bit of lead. I really don't need a disaster here. I reckon that much will nearly do. So, standing well back, there's a few impurities in the container, I'm suggesting. However, the lead is melting. I knew there was a reason I had that glove. The lead has melted, and that's got hot. Right, need to think this through a bit more because it's too hot for me to pick up, I think. Let me have a go at this. Nope, that failed. More thought required. Attempt number 2. I put a bit more lead in, hoping that more lead will hold its heat. I've also got a pair of, I call them multi-grips, but other people call them lock grips or various different things. So that lead's melting really quickly. Now I need to juggle this, and this could end up with attempt 3 or 4. So wish me luck. I'm not quick enough. The lead solidifies way too fast for me. I'm too cautious, I'm too slow. I may need to actually shorten the container. That could be a go. There's the piece of lead. I'm going to cool that down and shorten the container. I nearly did it without you, which would have been naughty of me. A bit hot and sweaty, and I'm a bit tense. I've shortened the container by about, I don't know, 3.5 inches. I've also cut a little, I suppose I'm calling it a spout, in the side of the container. And I'm going to heat the container as well as the lead and let the container get quite hot so that the residual heat from the container keeps the lead molten for a little bit longer, because I obviously don't have long enough to pour it in. I'm a bit concerned about my choice of footwear, so I'm being extremely careful. I would put on a glove, but I'm bumble-handed at the best of times. So I'm going to risk it for a biscuit. Now the container is obviously really hot because the paint on the outside is starting to catch on fire. The lead is, I don't know, molten. I suppose I run a risk of overheating the lead, but we'll see. So, underhanded. I have poured. Now I have lead that's just spilled on the edge of the vise. I don't perceive that as a big deal. Not a big deal at all. So there's the first pour. Now, old mate, that's a terrible description. The guy I watched on YouTube, he did that again and used a scriber to ensure that the lead had gone further down. Now this is the bit where I think it can go wrong because I can overheat the cable and all sorts. So bear with me, and I'm going to try. I don't want it too hot. I'm going to come round this side. And he is right, it does collapse into the mould a bit. Collapses into the mould a lot. And it looks like you need a little bit more. Or not. I'm going to leave it. I'm going to let it cool, and I'm going to see what that looks like in a minute. I'll show you. Even if it's just failure, I'll show you. This time, glove, because I'm going to pick this up off the top, and there it is. It's still all attached. I can see, I can see a plug of lead. Now the gent simply, I think he did this. What I'm going to try and do is, I'll try and put the mould, if you like, in the vise, keeping in mind that'll still be hot. And I'm going to try and gently knock it out. Oh, blow me down. Out it comes. I'm going to let it fall on the floor. There it is. You can see it just like I'm seeing it. Now it needs a little clean up. And I wouldn't have said it's exactly in the middle. I'm tempted to touch it, but I'm not gonna, because I know it's hot. And I know I'm a lunatic when I touch things that are hot. I'm going to just cool off that in a quench bucket, also known as an ice cream container. And there's my little mould. I'm going to let it all cool down. I'm going to go and have a drink because I deserve one. And that way I won't be tempted to touch it. We'll come back and have a look. All right, I'm back and everything's kind of cooled down, which is good. Bit of molten lead that was in my homemade crucible. That actually worked really well in the end. Would have been better if I'd had a set of bigger multi-grips to tip with, and the tipping spout worked super. So, I don't know, that was worthwhile doing. Now the cable's not super, but it's close. So, I don't know how to show you this. Let's get on the bench. I haven't quite got the cable centrally located in the lead casting. Suppose. Let's have a look. Having a little bit of trouble filming this, but nevertheless. So here's my casting. The cable is not quite in the centre. I do need to shorten this a little bit, like that. And I'm hoping it'll go in. Let me see if I can show you the cable end. So this is the end that I poured from, and it's really good. This is the end I'm going to cut off, and it's a little bit concave. Maybe 1.5 millimeters, maybe 2. I'm going to have a little clean up of this with a file, and then we'll have another look and a test fit. This is the side that was slightly concave. And of course, the slightly concave bits fall off really, really easily. And lead's not hard to file, very soft metal. I'm going to turn it over, and I'm just going to flatten the other side. Not bad. You know what? I've seen worse. I know I'm using the file the wrong way. You're meant to go forward, I think. Here we go. Just going to wander over to you. Now, a flat battery on my microphone has prevented the audio from being any good on the fit up of this. This is fit up number 2, and it fits up pretty well. It will come out and it will go in, but I'm calling that a victory. I'm actually really, really pleased with it. I'm going to see if I can get everything hooked back up, because it's a bit of a faffing around to do, and then we're going to call it good. So I'm fitting this brake rod again. What happened the first time? Well, the bit you didn't see was that I hadn't made the inner of the cable long enough. So that led to me needing to clip the outer of the cable while it was all in place. What happens when you try to clip the outer of the cable when it's all in place? You accidentally clip the inner. And so I had to replace the cast on lead end. Now actually that was no trouble at all. It went really, really quickly and it didn't cause me any grief, and I thought, you beauty, this is working super well. But what did I find out? Well, I found out that the lead didn't stick to the cable, the flux didn't do its job, or I didn't flux it properly, or whatever, doesn't really matter. And it pulled straight out. So that was a bit of a blow. I was actually a bit miffed. And this comes back to my perennial cabling problems, where I am not able to get flux to metals to stick together due to poor fluxing technique, if that's actually a word, I don't know. So this is my third attempt. Now, again, it's not super hard to cast. And the more you do it, the better at it you get, and the closer you get to it. The trick is now, will it stick? So this time I used hydrochloric acid. I frayed the end of the cable and let it soak in the acid till it stopped frothing. I gather that's a thing. And then I tried it. So let's pull the lever and see what happens. I am petrified that this will break again. Oh my God, it doesn't. The brake works. Holy crap on a cracker. Holy crap on a cracker. Could do with a little more adjustment of the cable. Well, I never. Brakes. Holy cow. That's amazeballs. That is amazing. Well, that's been a saga. Can you do it? Yes, you can. Fluxing is really important. So I used hydrochloric acid. I frayed the cable into the acid. It froths quite noticeably, and I left it for a minute or more until it stopped, and now it appears to have stuck. I'll keep a really close eye on it. How did I end up with the inner too short? I hadn't catered for the fact that this piece needs to slide up and down inside. And so I had it too tight and couldn't loosen it. So start over. It's been, I'd say I've spent about 3 hours getting it right. Anyway, it's not the end of the world. I've got to get on and work out why this binds. I think it binds because the arm is binding against the brake plate. Either need to thin off the brake plate, adjust the cam inside, or thin off the brake arm. Anyway, that's enough. I've got a front brake. I've been worried about it since I first worked out I didn't have the correct equipment. Now, I actually think it looks right. It makes the bike look correct. That's the correct front brake mechanism. It's not the correct lever. It's not the correct hub or arm. But you know what? I can live with that. The rivet counters will criticise it, but I don't care. That looks super. There you go. That was lead casting the end of a cable. And it's still holding up and it's still working. And it was fabulous. Did I get it right the first time? No. But it did work. And it can be done. You can do it at home. Fascinating. The other thing I got done for the week was I fitted a throttle cable. And I did make a YouTube short on that. Now, Tristan, one of my viewers who corresponds nearly every week, thanks, mate. Tristan sent me some new old stock cables at some stage. And they've got the nice cover on the outside. Almost looks like it's woven, as opposed to the nylon-y looking ones that we get now. Tristan, the 40-inch cable fitted straight on. It went straight into the carb, straight into the throttle. Yes, it's a later throttle, but who cares? Well, not me anyway. And it bolted straight up. Mate, I'm ever so grateful for the cable. I really, really appreciate it. Hey, listen, that's what life's all about. Share what you got and get on with it. I hope you've enjoyed the episode. If you have, hit the subscribe button or the like, or be like Tristan. Send me a comment, say g'day, and in the meantime, have a good one. Cheers.